All right, looks like we're here. Let's see if it actually posts on the regular channel. Should need to pull that old one down. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I think we actually got this working. So this is going to be part 2 of the NYCTA Transit Museum trip I took back in 2005. We're going to be mainly finishing up with the museum today and moving on to a semi-related Metro North run in from New Haven to Grand Central, which at the time was kind of exciting because you had the front view, although Metro North isn't super interesting, even back then. But today it is, because all those bland M246s have been retired. So I'm just going to start going here, and we will see how far we get. Oh, it didn't work. So anyway, so we've done yesterday we did the rolling stock portion of the Transit Museum. And the one interesting thing, so the Transit Museum is set up on the old Court Street station, which used to be a Brooklyn terminus on the IND. There's no real point to terminate trains in Brooklyn, so they turned it into a museum. Part of the museum is its own mini interlocking tower, and this is not something that was rolled in or for display purposes. The similar to the Chambers WTC station on the E, there was a small GRS interlocking tower just running the crossover. The point being that it had someone on hand to manage terminal operations. That would have been sort of harder to deal with if you had it remoted from Hoyt, which it could have been, but then you would have had someone out of sight of the actual trains ready to leave or enter or depart. So this is pretty common for the IND to have a terminal interlocking like this, even though it is a very simple interlocking. As you can see, it's a 12-lever GRS Model 5A machine. The Model 2s are in sort of the wood cabinet and smaller. The Model 5As have the traditional pistol grip, and the 5Bs have the ginormous ones with the extra sort of lever part on them, or the like crush hand, the extra handle bit. Anyway, I'm just going to get going here. So the museum tower is, you can just roll in there and you'll see they have it all set up as a display. The only thing keeping you from sort of mucking about with it is that they've locked out the pistol grips in the off position, so you can't really display signals or throw switches. I'm just going to do new file names for this because I'm sure the old ones are not good. That's it. And in a second, let me just see if we have people coming in. Yeah, we got some people coming in and out. Might want to alert one of my regulars while I'm waiting for that file to save. It still didn't save. All right, there it goes. Yeah, here we have a flash close-up of the levers there. Red, of course, are signals. I believe the red lamps above them are lockout indicators. Or I'm not entirely sure what the red stuff is. I've seen it working, and they do illuminate and de-illuminate as trains move through. I have to assume that they're lever, that they have something to do with lock or unlock. But at the same point, usually the unlock, the free for movement lights are the main panel ones. See the illuminated levers. The center, remember, it's just a crossover. You have two switches in the middle. On either side, you have the various absolute signals approaching the interlocking. NYCTA used not only home signals but controlled approach signals, so you could bring trains to a halt and then sort of slowly let them approach up to the interlocking. At the same point, you would also need multiple, I guess, unlike a US&S machine with a crank style lever where each lever could control a pair of signals, the GRS one probably would need a signal for both the reverse direction and the front direction, although NYCTA didn't always have reverse direction signaling and interlocking, so they would just have a fixed stop, but it all depends. I'll have to look at the diagram in a second. So this could be a pair of each and one approach entering the heading toward the interlocking from Hoyt, but I'm not sure. In fact, I could pull up a diagram of this, but probably should have had that ready to go to begin with. I do have a complete diagram of the NYCTA interlockings. I have a new one too. I posted them on my my blog a number of months ago, earlier this year. So you can see the differences between 2009 and 2019. But anyway, I'm just gonna, when this loads up here. Sorry about that. Oops, wrong thing. See if I can just get this diagram going. It's quite comprehensive. Interlocking diagrams, IND. I'm not sure if this is on the crosstown line. Crosstown. That's not it. Is it Fulton? Court Street. There it is. Not very, you can see, 5 levers, yeah, here you go. You had, I was right, you had matched pairs for in and out. Oh, that's something I forgot to mention. Even though there are only 2 pull levers for the 7 and 8, the switches, because again, it's a GRS machine, each end of a turnout of a crossover needs its own lever, but they're never moved non-independently, so they're both they're connected internally. That was part of the GRS's claim to fame, where the movement of each switch would cause a back current and then unlock the machine. This was later found to be unsafe, so the whole raison d'etre behind these design was kind of regulated out of existence. But as you can see there, yeah, you have one approach signal, an actual signal, then the other ones, and then the switches. So that's pretty much all it is. This was installed in 1936. It's still going today, and I don't think this can be ever. This machine is never going to go out of service. It is too much part of the museum. It is literally part of the museum. That might you're probably looking at what will be probably the last act of one of those in the country or world. Oopsies. So for some reason, again, I think that Court Street was intended way. The importance of this terminal was a little bit exaggerated. I don't think that this model board was a replacement. Looks legitimate. The reason it had all this extra trackage that it had no control over was simply because you'd have the person in this office was in charge of letting trains loose from the transit museum, not the museum, from Court Street, the terminal. So they would need to know where everything else was to release them properly into the flow. Court Street as the terminus of, I don't know what service, probably Crosstown. I'm not sure what they. I have to go and figure out what they plan to terminate here, but they never did. But the neat part is that you have this neat. You had this neat, or still today, this neat wired diagram that anyone can go in there and see what it's about. In fact, I'm not going to do anything to this. I'm just going to sharpen it actually and save it out. I don't know if I should be NYCTA or NYCS. I should check real quick in my towers. I should be. The proper thing is CTA, but I don't want to make it contrast with what I've already done. I think I did NYCS for NYC Subway. Yeah. Probably a good reason to head back to the Trans Museum at some point to get some good pictures and video, all this stuff working. Problem is, it does cost money. So, I'll figure it out one of these days. And here we have an example of no flash. Horrible color. For all the people who defend LED lighting, go to hell. I like a good color rendering index, and sodium vapor is just absolutely disgusting. Whatever is in here, it looks like it's sodium vapor. Ugh. I'm not sure if I was trying to do a timed exposure here. It looks a little blurry for that. Might have tried to set. Looks like it kind of indicates that I was trying to set it on a table, but I don't know. Ugh. Come on. Not gonna need that guy anymore. That little wooden clock there is no longer issued. Another thing you'll see on these GRS machines are the amp meters. Again, that's designed to help the operator know when the switch is completed travel. Just helps them because otherwise they don't really. I don't think there's a good visual indication. In a electro-pneumatic, you can kind of hear it, and it does make internal clicks. But also the amp meters are in case the switch machines are stuck, and otherwise you'd risk burning them out. And remember, this is in the very early days of things like motors, so that you didn't have a lot of protections or overcurrent or all that automated stuff was sort of beyond their technology. So you need to have a lot more human supervision. Sorry for getting off to a slow start tonight. As in, I'm sort of rambling here. I'm not doing the greatest job, but when there's no one listening, when you turn in late for this, you'd sort of get a better show. Let's see here to see who's around. Okay, we got some people listening. I will say, so the model board isn't entirely, period correct. I don't even know what I should do with this. If I should keep it full resolution or not. As you can see here, they've added some appropriately font NYC Helvetica fonted, you are here, and other little notes on it. So I think that the model board has seen a little bit of alteration, but it does look exactly like all the other ones, which I think they would have had a tough time reproducing later on. Gonna keep it again at full resolution, even though it's kind of soft and gross. Oh, this is nice. Going doing the artsy photo of a lawn chair. That actually looks pretty nice. I was happy with this photo. The flash in my early that's one good thing that early digital camera had. That 3 megapixel one I always complain about. It had a decent flash and flash response. While the front was bolted closed, the side panel was not. So I just did a quick open up. I'm not exactly sure what these relays were controlling. Possibly, I'm not sure. I don't know my way around a GRS pattern interlocking machine. Besides the fact that they used the sort of the tappet and grid system of locking, which would be located in the center front, whereas in a USNS machine, the locking is a horizontal and goes back along the top. Another thing that these GRS machines had is that they would have the actual. Again, I'm not entirely sure if and when this changed. They would actually have the current for the switch machine would be, as you saw, I mentioned from the amp meters, the current would be running not only through the machine to operate the switch, they would run through contacts in the back of the lever. Like the lever would directly control the switches. They were like, the power would flow through contacts in the back and some coils and some other stuff. There's some good books, Google Books. There's some older signaling books that describe how it works. But including 120 volt when they were high voltage. Another thing they had a lot of were fuses. If anything got stuck, or that's one of those things you see on the Model 2s. They had this whole glass case of fuses in case a switch. When you have an overcurrent, at some point the fuse would blow. Not sure what half all this stuff was. I should definitely. They do have some cans. There's some nice blocking devices. So next time I'm there, I'll sneak in and open up and see what's still there. Probably the same stuff. And here's again a slightly better flash picture of the whole setup. If this was a real tower, it would be staffed with 5 people sitting around collecting a paycheck. Again, I'm not usually hostile to overstaffing, but the the way that the New York City subway, it's a combination of the degree that the NYCTA is overstaffed, plus the hostility of the workers to anyone who might document the fact that things are overstaffed. That's where a lot of the hostility towards photography happens in the NYCTA. They really, I have encountered at 9 a.m. at South Ferry, there were like 5 people in the dispatch office, and one guy was asleep. That's why they go nuts when you're taking pictures, because especially the towers, they do not want to be caught with the staff. They don't want to be exposed with how overstaffed they are. When I would go out to watch the holiday special on a Sunday, there'd be 4 or 5 people in like West 4th Street. There's no there's barely any traffic, and there's like 5 employees in there. So here we have. I gotta. Oh man, I have to cut to. I thought my next thing was going to be New Haven, but I'm gonna have to do the magical overhead to Brooklyn. That's across the Williamsburg Bridge. It's the JZ/M Broadway Junction. There it is, Myrtle. And it's at least one station down. So Flushing Ave. It's probably around Lorimer Street. I'm clearly in one right there. So because I can tell I'm shooting out the front window of another R42. I think they finally retired the last of these, even though they had to keep bringing them back. But the R1, the R2 whatevers, or 178s, whatever the new ones that are failing from Bombardier. It's a J42. Don't know the number. I forget what line this is. It's signal 194. BMT. No, it's not the Broadway. I think it's Jamaica, right? Chambers, Essex. Yeah. JAMAICA. $194. Clear. Sometimes I do wish I was able to get up to New York City more. And this is Flushing Ave. But it's, just not something there was a period of time in my life where I had sort of an easier access to get to New York. And that time is past. Let's see what I can do with this of trying to get it. Not going to be able to crop much on this. Not going to be able to crop much at all. Because I want that Flushing Ave in there, and I got the Marcy Ave, or the whatever Ave that is, Tower. I'd love to keep that Flushing Ave, but I don't think I can. It just looks too not good. There we go. That's better. Best part is I don't have to worry about it's an M. It's an M42. Could be 40s though. I was gonna say I don't have to worry about collisions because they're, as in name collisions, because there are no more R42s on the line. I'm never gonna really be there, but I just realized I'm gonna have to figure out the difference between an R42 and an R40M. I'm pretty sure these are going to be R42s. R40s were running at the time. There we go. Let me just double check. I think the R40s had the yeah, they had the little droop thing there. So these are R42s. And of course we have the wonderful interlocking at Myrtle, which I already actually just pulled up. Myrtle Ave, and that's going to be your 155, 157 double slip. 155. How do you spell this? Myrtle. Yrtle. For rapid transit, instead of using the all caps like I do for railroads, I just write the name with an int afterwards, just because their naming conventions can be weird. So it's easier if I just sort of make it less of. Often I don't even know them. What direction is this? Southbound. Wow, this is southbound? Huh. That's fascinating. There we go. That's the first set. Like yesterday, it's only about 40 photos today, which is going to be a light session. Feel free to drop any questions. It might come up in the chat, and I'll answer them. For anyone who missed it, this is a 2005 trip to the NYCTA Transit Museum. The Transit Museum stuff was yesterday. Today, after that brief, after some of the other NYCTA pictures, I'm going to be doing a Metro North from, it's going to be Metro North from New Haven to GCT. Don't ask how that happened. It just sort of, it's going to cut from Far Rockaway to New Haven. And I did not take a ferry. Did I take the M to Metropolitan? I don't even remember this. Yeah, I guess I had to have. Weird color balance, too. I guess I was on an M train. Okay. Guess I'll just have to follow that up real quick, figure out where the heck that is. Come on. Of course, it's just not loading on the one part of the map I need. Yeah, that's the one. It's at Knickerbocker Ave, which is nice that that's a name that still exists in New York City. Not sure what building that is. It's a neat building. That's a supermarket now. Like I said yesterday, just remember, while this looks like an elevated, it is an elevated subway. This was actually, I think, it was an original elevated line that was strengthened to handle the heavyweight subway cars. Actual elevateds like those in Chicago, the old ones in Boston and Philadelphia, were built to lighter standards in the 1890s and generally could not support the type of cars of the second generation of New York City Rail Rapid Transit, or third if you count the steam as the first. They were either built to support the heavyweight underground cars, or they were strengthened, or they were never strengthened and they operated with wood cars until they were demolished in the 1950s. And I said they were largely demolished because of not only was the city having financial issues, The fact that they were using wooden cars meant would have made it necessary to completely invest in new rolling stock when the city did not have the money to do it. Another thing is that when the city was building the IND system, it specifically was targeting L's. It was building lines that would largely duplicate with them. It's sort of a form of competition, because those, the city was sort of like building public infrastructure, not to complement what had come before, but to compete with it, because people were pissed off at the transit duopoly, the private industry. Then it's sort of like be careful what you wish for. Today's powerful private monopoly is tomorrow's money-losing, government-funded public service. Where are we? I gotta get the map out. This is Broad Channel. I'm pretty sure it's the North Broad Channel Bridge on the old LIRR Rockaway line. NYCTA picked up that whole Rockaway branch for a song. I forget which is the one that still opens. I mean, that looks like it opens. So that's the south. Yeah, that one looks like it's probably lock closed. Because I remember only one of them can really open anymore. I think it was the South Channel. I could actually look. I do have the track diagrams here. Rockaway, Broad Channel, Hamels Y. So it's Beach Channel, maybe the other one's Broad Channel. Oh, North Channel Bridge. Okay, there it goes. Yep, and it's actually southbound for once. Yeah, I think I got off at Broad. So this was back in 2005. New York City, the MTA used to sell a ridiculously cheap day pass, and that's something else that sort of prevents me from doing a lot of this stuff these days. It's just without the unlimited ride pass. Yeah, that's got to be the north one. Without the unlimited ride pass, it's to get off on and off and on and off and on and off all day. That adds up, and I just can't. It's very I always try to plot my subway stuff. Yeah, so this one I got off at Broad Channel at the Howard Beach, walked along the line, walked there, and you can get all the way out on this where the rocks are, and sort of take a picture right from the end of the jetty. Or at least you could. I did. Don't know if you can today, but it looks like you could. Right at the end of the fence line there. The question is this an R44 or an R46? Get a little closer in there. If it's an R, you can tell an R46 from an R68 because the R68s have the recessed door. I'm betting that this is an R44 because they ran on the A back before they were retired. But it's sort of tough to tell. You could tell inside because they had little glass inserts and stuff in places. Yeah, see? Probably going to be an R44. Let's just see what we have on the R46. Looks exactly the same. Oh, boy. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm also working with the framing I got here. Not great. Did I resize it? Yeah. And now here's where we make the jump to New Haven. And where I will be constantly bedeviled by the lack of numbers on the side of the cars, on the front of the cars. I can at least get the number batches though, hopefully. Constructed, numbers built. Numbers 84, 85, 86, 87. Huh, they're all over the place. That's swell. So here we have New Haven was still kind of a mess as it was undergoing its transformation to the state that it is today, which I think started in the 90s with the installation of the high-level platforms, and finishing up with that giant galvanized steel bridge there, truss bridge. At least it's nice that truss bridges are still occasionally built. So the other part is, I have my Metro North diagram with me of the New Haven terminal. Doesn't quite tell me where the what the platforms are though. Oh, this is track 12. So this is the farthest out track, if it's not obvious. If you're ever stuck for a car number, you can always sort of punt and just use the name of the station. So when they did all the reconstruction for the new motor storage yard, which now I can go back out to New Haven where I was, zoom in a bit. This is what I was prepping for. So when they did the big station rebuild, they put in a new motor storage yard right there for their MU train sets. Here we have the 4 platforms, tracks 1, 3, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, 12. My train was sitting there on 10, 12. Here is the new then truss bridge. And as you come out of 12, you cross what is an instance of a very rare modern double slip switch. Yes, they put in a new one in Albany. I think they might have put a new one in Harrisburg, but I'm not sure. Albany has a couple actually. But anyway, they put one in at Metro North, and it's actually what would be a high-speed one, like 30 miles an hour on the diverging routes, compared to a 15. These have the movable point frogs. So this is the 148 or 1814 double slip. Sure, I'll go with that. It's not quite marked well on this. but it's actually a pretty nice picture of it. Usually I'm not. Usually before I'm standing at the front of the train, I wait a little bit. This would also have been right around the time that the New Haven Tower was closed. It was either, I guess, right after. I forget when the New Haven SS-75 was closed. It had been effectively functioning as a dispatch desk for Metro North, and then they just moved it to Grand Central. Employees tend to like, usually when you have those odd remote jobs, you have less of a management burden on you. And also it appeals to people who might live closer to that area. But managers tend to hate not being able to manage, so they moved it. Here we are at CP240, which I think is South Norwalk, or it's Devon. Let's see where this would be. Yeah, this is what used to be part of SS-44. It's just assume that that they've been used to the H5s in place. Just pegged them to display fixed indication. They actually pegged the armature over, or having it moved to that position and then flash was something that it had to do as like a second safety check. I don't know. Could have done either. So anyway, here we have the. It was around 2005 or so that they were slowly replacing the overhead ones. Between 2005 and 2010, they were slowly replacing these sort of over-suspended ones with the dwarfs. And ultimately, I think that the motivation on Metro North for the reduced aspect system was the fact that you had both on the New Haven, on the Hudson division, you had a lot of 4-track signal bridges with searchlights. On the New Haven, you had these suspended jobbers with the catenary, and it was just way easier to you could have put up something new, but then that would have been new signal bridges. You'd have to replace the signal bridges. How do you manage the overhead wires? And it was just sort of, what can we do on a dwarf? Sorry to go on and on about that there, but it's sort of just the opportunity is presenting itself. So here we have SS-28, which is green. I'm going to figure out which one this was and just use the original name. Green Tower, or SS-28, has a very, for a while until they boarded up the windows, you could see into the, there it is. You could see into the operators because there was like a bare incandescent bulb burning at all hours of the day. And you could see into the operator's cabin. And where is that? There's a good picture here on the North American Interlocking's page. And for a while it was like, oh, there's pistol grips in there. Oh, you can't see it. So it looks like a pistol grip machine. This is that thing. But the switches were still manual. So you have this sort of pistol grip GRS out thing, and in front of it you had a whole row of mechanical levers. There's a similar machine that was or is still or used to be in Baldwin Tower on the PRR. And that just goes back to the thing of, back in 1910, motors were expensive, electric power was, intermittent. So it's just easier to have the guy you're paying to manhandle that stuff. Here we have SS-26 Pike. For those of you who haven't been here before or haven't heard me, the signaling station system, It's not just a straight. It was sequential, as in the first one they had was 1 and 2 and 3. So like, why were there so many towers on the New Haven? The New Haven was sort of an early adopter. They used manual block, so you literally had an interlocking tower every mile. Eventually, when they went to auto block, they closed the vast majority, but you still have the towers roughly lining up with their milepost number, even though it's not really their milepost number. So New Haven is about 75 to 80 miles, and it is SS75. But that just happens to be a coincidence of how many towers they had. It just averaged out to about 1 per mile. This is SX26 Pike. There it is. That's not the one. How does this keep going over there? Yeah, I'm using much wider cuts on these days compared to what I did before with cropping out half of it. I'm still not good of telling my M cut types. I can't see the number because, of course, who would need to see what train it is from the front? All I know is that the M4s were triples. This is not a triple, so it's an M. It's an M something. It's a shame now. That the real shame is not that the M2s were retired. It was that the M6s, which were built in the mid '90s, were retired after only about 20 years of service instead of getting an AC upgrade. SEPTA, they could have easily put in an AC IGBT power control, power system in there for nothing. But when the feds are paying for it, who needs to save money? SEPTA, the Broad Street cars went from DC cam control to AC for $11 million. And now it's like a fleet of a couple hundred cars. I tried to go out a couple times. I think I went to Woodlawn to get pictures of M2s, whether they're still doing their thing, and it's just dull. I don't know. As fun as they are with the railfan window, which is these pictures are courtesy of a Metro North M2 railfan window. Metro North is way better about letting you stand at the front than the Long Island Railroad, probably because of fewer grade crossings. As in 0 on the New Haven line. This is probably a Stamford Express, as in it doesn't stop at Stamford, it first stops Stamford. Near Port Clinton. Which would be the New York City border. I don't know. I just sort of found them to be, uninteresting. I wonder if I was coming in. I guess this was in August, so I could have been coming in against the rush hour here. Don't know what I was doing. I was definitely going back to Baltimore somehow. This is, you can tell from the catenary, it's the New York City, the New York owned section. Oops, nope, that's what I wanted. No, it wouldn't be Port Clinton. It'd be somewhere else. I was way past Port Clinton. Should probably actually go look. The New Haven line is run on a 2/3, 1/3 cost agreement with the state of Connecticut. Besides track maintenance, any improvements made east of the Connecticut-New York border is paid for 100% by Connecticut. So anytime you have, there's people who complain about Metro North usually don't realize that most of their bad experiences is a direct result of the state of Connecticut not wanting to spend money. Okay, that's Larchmont. Ish. What was that other one? Merrimack is the other one that is not Port Clinton. Port Clinton's at the border. Sorry for if this is taking longer than I thought. But we're almost done. And here we have SS 22, which is Shell Tower in New Rochelle. Get rid of some of that. Yeah, blue. Just got to figure out which one it is. There it is. And just use that file name. Nope, it's not level yet. Nope, not quite yet. Okay, that'll work. Hopefully, let's see if I have any. Let's see what questions I got going on in the chat. And we're on for our last batch of photos here. And like I said, it is actually going to Grand Central and beyond. So here we have the old New Rochelle Amtrak connection to the Hellgate line. They have now since reconfigured it so that the Amtrak tracks, they don't really split until after they took the 5-track, the oddly, one side and one island New Rochelle platform and made both Amtrak tracks sort of come through that, and eliminated one of these double slips. What it used to be is you'd have two Amtrak would stop at the westbound platform, would cross over one, would then shoot across both of these movable point diamonds onto the Hellgate line. And the other trains would sort of come off the Hellgate line and onto that side track number 4 there. So this is track, that's 4, 2, 3, and then my train's on 1. What they did is the fix for that was you do all your switching east to New Rochelle Station, and westbound Amtrak trains stay on what is track 2 and only have one of these double slips. But here we have the full double slip ladder at Shell Interlocking, which is, I'm glad I have this picture because it's not there anymore. Here we are at the Mount Vernon catenary, the switchover point. The switchover is automatic. As trains enter the third rail, the pans will automatically drop. I think they're at least automatic in one direction. As you hit the third rail, the pans go down. I'm pretty sure that if you leave the third rail, they don't automatically pop up. But like a relay race, they do have a fairly broad zone for it. Not a bad picture. A little blurry on the train. Not gonna win any awards. Here's something else that we have. This is at Woodlawn Interlocking, not to be mistaken for, or lawn. Something else I gotta look up. Not to be mistaken for Woodside, which I constantly would do. Woodside being the changeover point for Long Island Railroad to the 7. Never sure if it was Woodlawn or Lawn. Anyway, the interesting thing about, I can find it on the old thing here. If I go to the right one. The interesting thing about it is that it has a surprising, I mean, everything, it's been, of course, generally sanitized, but they did leave a whole bunch of old artifacts around there. J.O. Woodlawn at the Bronx. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So that there, which is the thing I'm going to be pointing at in a second. So it was J.O. Tower. PC name was Woodlawn. This is a Penn Central era I-beam signal bridge right there that did have the the New York Central style slate of searchlights. Was then, of course, designaled when Metro North went to its all-star reduced aspect lineup, but they sort of left that there. I'm currently pulling up my Metro North track diagram. Okay, here it is. And also in the front here we have an old Penn Central era or New York Central era mast. Again, was just abandoned in place. They didn't abandon a lot of Metro North doesn't abandon a lot of stuff in place, but this stuff they did. I got some pictures of those when I went out there and went out that way in 2002. Here we have the old Woodlawn Tower. Just to when I first went by this in my film camera days, it was intact. And then just like a muffin, they popped the top, and it's been that way ever since. I just need to find. I'm sure that I have. Come on. So just get a handle on this. And it was right. I think it was there. It was okay. This might have been, no. I forget when I saw it with the last saw it with the top on. So I don't think that this was a surprise this time, but I don't know. Oh, here we go. This is that's an interesting bit. So first off, this is CP 106. On Metro North, if a 1 prefix means Harlem line, a 2 means New Haven line. I tend to avoid. I try to avoid using them as much as possible because I think they should have stuck. I prefer sticking with the New York Central or Penn Central systems. But they in a sort of in which is but in a nod to urbanists everywhere, they use the right of way space for some, I think, public some kind of housing. Let me figure out what it is. Man, I got these great railfan views, but no feasible way to get video. By the time the video was available, it was full width Cabville. Yeah, that's clearly public housing. They're not even telling you what it is. But it's under Melrose. Now, some of the CPs, of course, are more legitimate than others. This probably would have been part of MO interlocking. So, which maybe I can find a diagram for. Oh, nice. Oh, super beautiful. Let's see. For those Mott Haven, this is the big Mott Haven Junction. Now this was a monster interlocking machine, and they were about a hair's breadth from taking that building and converting it into an emergency control center for Metro North. But there was just too much asbestos in it. Oh, mercy. Yeah, that was the old limits of MO interlocking too. So, gosh, it's like count the highest number of signals you possibly can there. I'm seeing number 270. The other thing is that it was all single direction. At least on a lot of the ones. Okay, so anyway. Just wanted to verify that this would have been part of MO. And what track are we on? Track 1. I think those are M3s making a divergent route. A lot of stuff going on here. And here we have, there are M3s. So here we have an M3, not quite in frame, passing an M2 with MO Tower way in the background there. Sorry, passing an M7. I don't know. I'm sure at this point, I don't know what the status of M1s were on Metro North. I think they kept their M1As for a while, but they only kept about 80 of them, and then they abruptly dumped them in 2007. Actually, don't have no idea what direction this is anymore. It might be eastbound. Or southbound? What direction is this? Say southbound. All right. Here we have MO Tower from behind, plus some MOW equipment. Again, these are all pictures you can't really get these days anymore with the full width cabs. Approaching the drawbridge, we got some more. This has got to be at like 4 or 5 o'clock because there's a lot of stuff coming out of the city. An absolute ton. Can I get the number? Looks like 8,400 something. I think that's valid. Right. Oh, that's not what I needed. Yeah, that's a valid number. Whatever. And here we have the Metro North Harlem drawbridge. So interesting thing. So this was built, I think, in the 60s to replace an earlier 4-track swing bridge, which, as you might have assumed, was probably not very reliable. At some point, when Metro North and the Long Island Railroad were trying to eliminate some conductor positions, this bridge mysteriously caught fire in the rush hour, and it was a major problem. And then suddenly they canceled the job eliminations. Again, I'm not super. I don't like being against organized labor, but when they set stuff on, it's this whole, when they set stuff on fire, it's sort of, Here we have some more M2s at 125th Street. Numbers unknown. Maybe this is maybe this is like the sun says it's the morning, so it's not in the afternoon. But there's a lot of outbound train traffic, which is sort of weird. I'm not sure where it's all coming from. Oops. Don't want to over sharpen these. I'm not working with a lot of resolution here. Oh, hey, that's the bar car. The blank one there. That's your M2 bar cars. Don't know which numbers those would have been. I can look them up here. They did not buy any more bar cars, unfortunately. They were apparently, in theory, profitable, but I think they caught a bunch of employees skimming this stuff. No, that was something different. That was the employees skimming the beer carts at Grand Central. Yeah, New York City is definitely the last place in the country that has this sort of like 1950s style the rising tide is rising all boats, and we're gonna like skim the shit out of it because who we can. Type of worker mentality. Now this appears. Let's see what this is. These are M4s. There's a conductor's window there, but you can tell this is a 5-car train, and these are M4s right there. So this would make them fleet numbers M4s 8900 series. M4s are a very rare example of a tri-set in sort of modern. Fun fact: these are built by Toku Car Company, which was Bud's Japanese licensees. So even though these are effectively Bud's, and they were retired. The M2s, while they were hewing to the Bud Metropolitan design, were built purely by GE, and I think Vickers was doing the body shells. Vickers was Bud's Canadian licensee for the body shells. Again, Toku Car, Bud's Japanese licensee, also would have done the body shells. I think they did the whole thing. Label them as at 120th Street, simply because it's south of 125th. This is the base of the old NK Tower. This was something else that when I went into the city a couple of times, when I call the film age, I think was to be around up through like 2002, 2000. I had a job interview in New York City in around 2003. They got they hooked me up with something. I got hooked up with something down there, and when I went down there, I think I was the front window of this thing for like the first time, and there was a massive brick interlocking tower on top of this, and it was like the coolest thing ever. And then the next time I was there, it was gone. Fortunately, we have... Where's going on with this? It should be this. Okay. Fortunately, we do have some diagrams here. NK. There's the old one, and here's the new one they built in the 30s. Not the greatest picture, but you can see it was a giant old New York Central brick monstrosity standing astride the tracks like the Colossus of Rome, Rhodes. It was also, while it was a 4-track crossover, it had the density on this trunk was so much that you just had to have, in the width of a single 4-track crossover, the New York Central had to put block signals in the middle to keep the trains moving. The block length is 967 feet. This is why Metro North did not want to, while I can fault them on the dwarfs, this is why Metro North did not want to use wayside signals. They had full 4-track gantries, bidirectional, every 1,000 feet. And today you got cab signal breaks all over. I don't know how long the cab signal blocks are. But this is probably my best picture of the base of NK. Still there today. At least the base is still there. And the best part is I actually know these. I know these signal numbers, or these switch numbers. This is the 42 switch and the 31 switch. I think NK was closed along with the rest of the Grand Central re-signaling project in the mid-90s. Oh, should I be calling it Nick? There's a thing. I wonder if that's divided up here. Yeah, at some point it was renamed as Nick. That was a Penn Central thing. Anywho, not a, I mean a Penn Central Conrail era thing. We have the northern portal of the Park Avenue, the famous Park Avenue tunnel. A lot of pictures were taken here, especially in the back in the day. If you have any New York Central fan books. It's one of it's one of those few things we have a tunnel with only one entrance. And we are almost done here. Just a couple last things before I finish up. These are just some bits and pieces of Dock. I was taking some pictures because back in 2005, the rumors of Dock Tower closing were constant. And unfortunately, it did not close for until 17. I'm gonna use a color balance on this. Again, I haven't apologized in a while, but I usually try to apologize for the slow. This is not my main computer. This is my the one that I knocked down to my parents. Yep, here we have some more stuff. I could probably look up whatever switch that is. Come on. Almost done. It's got to be thorough. That looks like the 91 switch. Most of me having to look at diagrams is simply because I need a proper file name. I think that they went to electric, but back when they had the gas burners, there were so many switches in Dock. You can see the size of the natural gas pipe they had to use to feed all the point heaters. I would say that's not a super popular method anymore, but NS does still use. This it's one of those things that whatever manager is there at the time will use it as a will or will not use it depending on circumstances. 91 switch 0.5. Got it. All right, let's see if anybody has any questions. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were assembled somewhere else because of Buy American, but ultimately the Toku Car Company was responsible for them. Toku Car is still, if you go, whatever equipment. I'm not sure if they're still. I think they're still around. But if you look at what they make, like for a while they were, their equipment were using stuff that looked like Pioneer 3 trucks. Let's see if I can pull up that wiki page again. Toku Car. There was something when I was looking at Toku. By the way, all the M246s and the Bud M3s used GSI 70 trucks, not Pioneer 3s. Only the M1s used Pioneer 3s. So, if it loads, this is a Toku Car truck, and you can see disc brakes, the center beams. This is very, very similar to a Bud Pioneer truck. Of course, it's Japan. It's a 3'6" gauge. They still around? is a manufacturer of heavy rail cars. So there you go. I mean, the Bud legacy lives on. Bud also had a licensee in Brazil. They licensed their stainless steel tech. That's the thing. I mean, no one makes the body shells in this country anymore just because it involves so many toxic chemicals. You'll either kill the workers or have a giant, create a giant environmental problem. Well, thank you for hanging in there. I'm sorry this ran long. I hope you enjoyed the. I hope you enjoyed the info. I'm not sure. I'm likely not going to be streaming again. Until I might have a single night on December 30th. Sorry, not December 30th. October 30th, but I don't know. The next thing I'm going to be gearing up for is going to be a 4 or 5 part series for my St. Louis trip in 2005. Texas Eagle, Cardinal, a whole bunch of neat stuff. It was a lot of photos, maxed out all my cards at the time. In fact, I had so much, I had to do a sort of an emergency download and then email to myself kind of thing when I was visiting someone in the St. Louis area. So that's going to be the next probably big project, although it might be something on October 30th, which is going to be a little over a week and a half from now. Thank you very much. Sorry for the lateness. It's went way over, but a lot of crazy stuff. Hope you guys have a great day. And remember, whoever is still listening, make sure you get out, vote, do it as early as you can. All right? See ya.